Hello, I'm Alex Mansfield, the host of Manny Talks Shooting, and welcome to another episode. This is the shooting podcast where I talk to individuals all across the shooting industry. We'll talk competition, self-defense, concealed carry. If you like this content, check out our YouTube channel, Manny Talks Shooting. And without further ado, let's get to this episode. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to another installment of Manny Talks Shooting, the shooting podcast on the internet, because I enjoy this and you listen every single week. At least that's what Spotify tells me. When I look at the analytics, so that's all good. But like I said, thanks everybody for watching. And as I talk about every show, we're going to talk about the title sponsor, Go Fast Don't Suck. They made this awesome banner behind me if you're watching the video version. They make awesome match banners, match jerseys, dry fire decals for your wall, and hurtful memes on the internet that are mostly true about our lives. So go check them out, gofastdon'tsuck.net. Tell them Manny sent you, move on with your day. Without further ado, we're talking about the tall guy in Texas who got hacked on the internet or let them in by himself. It's Mr. Ryan Wilks. How you doing, Ryan?
What's happening, Mr. Mansfield?
I am doing fantastic, and thank you for accepting my invitation. I feel this will be a good one.
Oh, well, thank you for having me here.
No problem there. It'll be fun. If anyone doesn't know, as I was talking in the pre-show with Ryan, this is my, I guess, a comeback to the tour of Texas, I call it. There's been plenty of shooters I've done from the DFW area, and it was time to come back to the good old land of Texas, and Ryan was the chosen selection. So, for anyone, Ryan, who doesn't know you, who are you, and how did you get into shooting?
I am Ryan Wilks. I am primarily a USPSA shooter. How I got into shooting is a dirty story. Do you want to hear it?
Of course, who doesn't? That's why you're here, right?
All right, so first off, I want you to understand who I am now, and I'm sure we'll get to some very great things that I do and the person that I've become. Um, there was a time in my life. I'll say this about myself. I'm always someone that has to learn the hard way. Um, so, as a kid, growing up with a dad who was into guns, we did some shooting. Nothing ever that serious or anything competitive. Took a long hiatus, and then in my early 20s, I decided to become a DJ because I thought that looked cool. And within 6 months of wanting to do this, I was playing at various clubs around Dallas. And I use the word clubs very loosely because a lot of these places were illegal, did not have licenses. They'd be up for 6 months. They get shut down. To be quite honest, they were places for people to go do drugs. And when I say I was a DJ, again, I use that term loosely. I was a guy on drugs on stage. But when you have a crowd of people on drugs, like, you don't have to be that good. Like, they eat it up. They love
Right? You don't have to be that good or that good looking, right?
it. No, and I wasn't good looking. I have really aged well. Also, I got this haircut for you. This is the best haircut $18 can get you.
Hey, nothing wrong with an $18 haircut.
Anyway, so long story short, of course, I was doing things I shouldn't have. I got way too deep into it. The same person I am now in the shooting world, like if you're local in North Texas, I don't want to sound too pompous, but you probably heard of me. Ryan's a good guy, right? Well, I was that same type of person in that world. But that meant I became kind of a central hub for the trade of various things and the manufacture of things. Several years into it, I'm like 230 pounds now. I was 135 pounds. I was doing a lot of stuff I shouldn't. But in that time, I got shot at. Had friends murdered, their bodies jumped off at hospitals. People arrested all the time. And one day I just kind of woke up and I was like, I don't like this life. I don't want to be this person anymore. And I walked away from it. I had to kind of rebuild myself for several years. Now, the reason I tell that whole story, kind of show you where I came from and where I am now, but also the fact that I had firsthand experience seeing kind of the evil side of the world and realizing that it's everywhere. It doesn't matter where you're at, bad things can happen. As I became a better person, sobered up for years, decided, okay, I'm making good money now. Let's go buy a gun. Like, I just had this overwhelming feeling like I need to be good with a gun. This is going to sound crazy. I used to have dreams all the time to where I was just amazingly fast with a gun. And I would wake up with this overwhelming feeling like this is what I'm supposed to do. I have to go be good with a gun. So one day I went out and bought a Glock.
Mm-hmm.
that's what everybody does. Went to the range for a couple years, to the point I could just hit whatever I wanted to hit, put bullets wherever I wanted to. And I was like, I'm bored of this. And I went to the RO there at the public range, and I said, man, there's got to be something more fun we could do with these guns. And he pulled out a piece of paper and he wrote down an address at a time, and he said, show up here. And I was like, what is this? And he says, it's a shooting competition. Just go try it out. And I remember that night in Dallas, within the first stage or two, like I knew 100%, like I'm going to be doing this till I'm dead. Like this is amazing. I love this. This is exactly what I was supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
That was 13 years ago, I think 13, 14 years ago. So that's how long I've been in competitive pistol shooting.
Well, that is an interesting story of how you got into this, but I love the honesty about it, because it kind of shows, right, where things could go if you're not with the right crowd. You get in the wrong crowd, the wrong kind of area. You're doing the wrong things. But hey, it's glad you got clean. You got out of that life, right? So, and now you're here. And so, what made you choose? Well, you've been in shooting competition for 13 to 14 years, so you were into guns a little bit before that. So there probably wasn't much on the market. But what drew you to buying a Glock?
When to a Glock, let's see here. So I bought a Glock because my dad had a Glock. He had one of the first Gen 1 17s when they came out back in the early 80s. And I didn't know a whole lot about guns. I just knew I heard Glocks are reliable. So that's what I'm going to get. In fact, when I got into competitive shooting, I was like, all right, I need a competitive shooting gun. What do I buy? I don't know anything. So I went out to another indoor range and bought one of their rental Glock 17s, because I was like, man, this is, as far as I can tell, this is like one of the most common guns out there, meaning they're going to have a lot of aftermarket support. Everybody's going to know about them. Obviously, they built a name for themselves. And I used that 17 for a while. I switched to a 34 for the first 3 or 4 years. I was shooting Glocks, and quite honestly, like at first, I didn't know any better. Um, I thought all guns had that grip angle. And I got real good at twisting it forward. Um, and then I heard about this CZ Shadow. And this is back before they were wildly popular over here. Like I literally had to look for somebody locally that had a CZ and ask around until I found somebody. I heard they were popular overseas. And I remember the minute I picked it up and just held the gun out, naturally everything aligned like it was meant for me. And like before I fired a shot, I was like, I'm buying this gun. Like this just the trigger's better. Everything's better about this. Like I'm doing it. Shot that gun in production for another 5 or 6 years. Shot limited for like a month, and then I was like, well, let's try this dot fat out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So shot carry optics for a while. And then in the last, God, when did I buy that gun? In the last few years, I bought a used Atlas Chaos, had it rebuilt, and I've been shooting open and loving it. Like it's just a whole lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, open is the speed race. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
like that's why I shoot open. Open is like the best thing. Like, sure, carry optics gets people into the sport, want to shoot a dot, and then you're like, no, I want to go shoot this $4,000 to $10,000 pistol that goes boom boom, and
Mm-hmm.
it's super fun.
It's rough though. I'm trying to bring new people in all the time. They're like, well, what gun do you have? And I'm like, hold up. Don't look at it. Don't look at it. You don't need you don't
Yes,
need
exactly.
5 seconds. Like whatever you have is fine. Just bring it. Let's go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's so hard because you want to show them I'll even talk to coworkers about this. Like, what I do as a hobby, and they're like you try to explain to them, like, what do you shoot? Like, well, it's this really custom gun, and it's kind of hard to get. You got to know the right people or go to the right places. You're not gonna find it on a shelf. And they're like, but I want that. I'm like, yeah, no, you don't. Go use what you got.
Yep.
But yeah. So you went to open. Now you got that Atlas. Was it a nightmare when you got it, or did it run and then you just wanted to get it rebuilt?
Did you already talk to people about this gun? Do you know something
No, I
about
do
it?
not know
Okay.
anything about this gun. Well, sorry, I'm not going to shame Atlas at all, but usually that's what happens when about Gen 1 Atlases. They didn't work very
Well, I believe what I have is a Gen 1.
mm-hmm.
And I'll tell a story about that. Bought this gun, shot it for a few months. Thought it was kind of weird. The compensator was wiggling around.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started to notice a little crack in the slide. And I took it back to the original owner. And I was like, hey, man, I think this slide's cracked. Honestly, if I had looked over the gun better or knew what I was doing at the time, I would have noticed a lot of things. The comp was cracked, the slide was cracked, the frame was cracked. So I ended up sending it to Atlas just to get a new slide put on there because that's all I knew was wrong. And they came back and said, "Oh, dude, you need everything." So I thought I was getting this gun for a steal at $3,500. I now have $200 more than a new one would have cost me in this gun.
Mm-hmm.
But it's basically a brand new gun. Other than that part of the horror story, this gun has run fairly flawlessly. Like I'm impressed. I do like it until it breaks again.
Right. Well, and it's not if, it's kind of when with open guns, it seems like. But no, and it's, I don't know. Open's just too much fun. I can't complain. Can't complain. Except for the fact that how much powder costs to go into a bullet. That's the only thing I'll bitch about.
And it's 9 major. I had my first. I think I either had a case failure or something at nationals, and that surprised me when I felt the pressure boom go off my hands. And I remember that I was on the last stages, and I was firing a target. Boom! I felt the concussion in my hands. I saw the smoke, and I kind of freaked out for a second, going, "Oh shit! Like, what's happening?" And I looked at the gun, and I ejected something, and it fed, and I was like, "We're gonna go for it!" And we pulled the trigger, and it kept working. So I was like, "Whew, okay," because I do not have a backup gun.
Hey, I mean, most people don't have backup guns. Like, remember, like Coy's backup gun is Ken's gun, which is even more funny. But
that was, yeah.
So as you've mentioned, you get people into the sport, right? Like, from what I know, is you run like a intro match essentially too?
Yes. So what I do is I run an event called Practice Day. We do it once a month. I've got 2 bays, and we'll just put a simple medium-sized stage out there, whatever we can fit in the bay. And I'll let people come in, and basically what we're going to do is we're going to have like a 10-15 minute walkthrough, so we can seriously examine the stage. Then we're going to have a big discussion. I want to hear your plan. I want to hear your plan, how it differs. And then we'll discuss, okay, what are the good parts and bad parts about this plan? What can we tweak? What can we make a little better here? Then let me show you what I've come up with. And then we'll discuss it all. And then we go run it just like a match, right? But immediately after your run, I'm going to be right there with you. And I'm talking about, hey, you did this, this, and this. Great. I love this. Keep doing that. Speed up here. But this is where you're failing. Do this, this, and this. It's a little more in depth than that. But we get back in line and we run the same stage again. I'm sure I'm not the first person to do this, but I've never heard of anything like this anywhere else. I'd be real curious. It's hey out there, if someone else is doing this, let me know.
Right, which is cool because honestly, it takes the pressure off going to your first match, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of get used to what you need to. I'm assuming you talk safety probably for a little bit first. The basic range commands, the rule, the basic safety rules, and then you get them comfortable, right? And then you just set the hook in them, and then they keep coming back to each match, and that's a good thing. But doesn't your range have turf on it?
Yes. Yes, it's lovely because if it rains, it doesn't matter. We're on the top of a hill with turf. Like, you're not going to get muddy. Just come on up.
Right, and your mags are not as angry.
Absolutely, huge selling point.
Right. Well, it is. It truly is. Purely for the fact is you don't have to dig the dirt or the mud out of them, you still get Texas sand in them there too. So
another really cool thing I'll do is obviously I can't run both sides. I've got 2 bays going. So here lately I've really started to branch out and try to bring in different people every month. Someone who's been a huge help in the past is Malin Hall. Love that guy. He came to me years ago for some training, and this dude just excelled faster than I've seen most people pick up this sport. He's actually gone to help Ben Steger with his different summits and different events. This month, I'm bringing Ken Yang is going to run the other side. If you don't know Ken Yang, he just finished in the top 20 Open Nationals. And then another guy I've been using, another great guy. I love him because he was professionally a teacher for a long time. So he's got the skills and he's got the ability to actually teach, which a lot of people don't realize is a separate skill than shooting. Just because you're a great shooter doesn't make you a great teacher, and vice versa.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Like, when they say, people who know how to do their job really well are probably not the best teachers. It's probably the person who's not as great at their job, but they can articulate very well, and they have the patience. It's kind of like if doers can't do, they teach, but people who can't teach gym. If School of God, that is a great movie. That's just me.
and
But
I do want to mention that guy I was talking about is Jonathan Miller. He finished first at limited nationals as master.
oh yeah,
He
okay,
was like top 10.
yep. Right.
So.
As soon as you said limited master, it made sense. So, but now has Malin been shooting a lot? I have not. I don't. Did he get rid of social media?
I don't think he got rid of it. I talk to him every so often. I would love to have him back. He had some family he had to attend to, so he's been taking care of that right now. That's been taking up a lot of his time, so I haven't seen him in months.
Yeah.
Would love to. Malin, if you're out there, I'd love to have you back.
So there you go. Maybe he'll listen to this. I don't know. I can't remember if Malin does or not, or he did. I don't know. I mean, people who don't listen to the show come back, like they'll find an episode or their friends send them an episode, and it's like, oh, and then they start listening again. So it all works out. But wow, where was I going to go with this? But anyway, so that's really, like I said, that is a really cool aspect. The practice, day once a month. Roughly, how many newer shooters or how many shooters do you end up getting once a month for this?
It varies. I can handle up to about 30 people because we only have 2 bays and I don't want a lot of downtime between shooters. I have a lot of repeat customers, people who are every single month, but I would say about a third of the people there every month are brand new. Mm-hmm. Never done this before. They just want to check it out. The rest of them are just people who want to get better.
So those people who are brand new, how do they find out about you then?
A lot of it is friends bringing in other friends. A lot of it's word of mouth. I do private training a lot on the side. And years ago, I had to advertise, and I would have to go out to different matches I wouldn't normally go to and just work to bring people in. Because if you've been to matches, it's kind of a constant turnover. It goes pretty quick, except for the diehard people. Mm-hmm. But honestly, in both aspects, between practice day and my own private training, it's kind of to the point now where I'm known well enough in this area to where when I do private training, a lot of times I'll just get a random text on my phone. Hey, I'm so-and-so. This person told me to call you. And I'm like, awesome. Let's set something up.
Right. And that's that organic thing too, right?
Mm-hmm.
when your friends or your people feel comfortable to send their new friends to you, right? It's like not everyone is equipped to teach their significant other about how to shoot a pistol, and especially in competition. So it's much easier to send them to somebody is going to treat them right. And teach them, and then you don't get yelled at home. It's I think the best thing about it.
A lot of husbands send their wives, and a lot of wives send their husbands.
Right, and there's nothing wrong with that. No, absolutely not. What was I gonna go? I was going somewhere with this, but it's gonna go somewhere different, I guess, if I can't think of it off the top of my head. But it's okay. But okay, this is a good question then. Right, so what club or what match is typically you would call your home match?
Home match. Oh, man. That's rough because it varies from year to year. We have our local clubs, Johnson County, JCSSA. The Mission 160 match, we ran that. Myself, Ken, Jen, T, Matt Shua. Oh, God, I'm probably forgetting somebody. Don't hate me. If you were helping me, don't hate me for forgetting you. We ran that for the first quarter this year. And then, of course, out of ETTS, if you've been out there, Cross Timbers does a real good match every month.
Mm-hmm. It seems like you're always shooting somewhere. Like if I watch your feed, it's always a match somewhere, and it's not just a major. It's you're like, well, with your profession, you have pretty much every weekend off, correct?
More or less, yeah.
So, are you ever home on the weekend then?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? It causes problems in my marriage. I want to be quite honest with you. I've really over the last couple of years had to search out a shooting and marriage balance to where I'm not gone all the time because as you've heard from my initial story tonight, I have an addictive personality, and I'm definitely addicted to shooting. But if there's something you can be addicted to, this is the most expensive thing you can do.
This and racing cars.
Yep.
But it's interesting. A lot of people who do this were racing cars before this. Like if you've ever met Tim Herron, that's what he did as a hobby until he hung it up, and then he just started to go shooting.
Really? I did not know that about Tim.
He liked racing cars. And after the car kind of sat in the garage for 3 years, he sold it and, took on, practical shooting full on.
Let's talk physics for a second. Is it kind of like being a horse jockey where the smaller you are, the faster that car is going to go?
It's a possibility. I mean, I could take bets on. But he did drive. I don't know what. I can't remember what he was driving, but it probably would make sense though.
Don't hate me, Tim. I've never met you.
No, you've not met Tim. How
I've not met Tim.
Well, I mean, he'd be like this tall. This is imagining. So he's about 5 foot. Well, no, he's 5'5". Because I do say I am taller than Tim Herron. That's the one thing.
Do you want to see Tim Herron's view of me?
For the audio listeners, Ryan just stood up. But he is repping a really cool Saker Speedwork shirt, which is funny enough. This was not planned, but this is the shirt I picked out to go to work in.
Nice, dude.
I think this is. Oh yeah, this is the only Shoot Open shirt. Now, I will say these are very comfortable T-shirts. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm a fat old man, and look how buff I look in this. God, it fits all tight.
It's kind of why Ken designed him this way, so he can look extra buff, right?
Have you seen his thighs?
Maybe not in a public setting.
No, that's an ongoing inside joke.
Yeah. No, that's so funny. But no, yeah. So, finding that work shooting, the work family shooting life balance is probably hard for all of us because most of us are type A personalities, and we do have addictive personalities because it's not necessarily a hobby. So, Ryan, I'm assuming you consider this an actual sport, right? Not just a hobby for yourself.
Define sport, because it's definitely it's more of a lifestyle at this point. It's definitely more than a hobby, but at the same time, I would not say I'm an athlete on the level of somebody who plays football or basketball or runs around for more than 20 seconds. Mm-hmm. I would compare shooting to like if you were shooting pool on 20 tables and you had to do it back to back really fast. Mm-hmm. Right? You've got the slow accuracy, then run. Slow accuracy. That's my take on it.
It's an interesting way of thinking about it, but it's not actually far off, right? Like,
yeah,
you only got to play. You only got to be able to really run around for 20 seconds, really.
Yeah.
But and it's really kind of like 40-yard dash, right? You're running super fast, and then you got to stop. It's not like this marathon. Well, I mean, it could be depending on what you're shooting. If you're shooting a revolver, it might be a marathon. Run, reload.
It really lends itself to a person like me who's not athletic at all, that vapes constantly, that smoked for 25 years, that eats horribly.
But you're still coordinated enough to be very good at the sport.
I don't know how. If you grew up with me, I have friends, like childhood friends that look at me now and they're like, I don't understand how you're this good at something physical. Like I've seen you play sports as a kid and it's not good.
Oh, so okay. We were kind of similar then growing up because I looked absolutely ridiculous. I still look ridiculous as I run around the range, but it's still effective.
I need to take running classes. As a 6'4" fat bellied person, like I don't know how to run.
Mm-hmm. So you and Dave Blant need to go take that class together then.
Yeah, it's pretty close. Yeah.
I mean, you're about the same height.
But we could, we take big steps though.
Mm-hmm. Well, you got to use that advantage. You got to use your stride to your advantage.
Or else I'm dead in the water. Like I'm not fast. Mm-hmm. I can't run.
Big steps. I mean,
Yep.
I mean, that's Max and Christian. They take those itty bitty steps. Like some of the top guys, everyone runs differently in the sport. It seems like, there's no true, just like anywhere, there's not one true way to shoot a stage. There's not one true way to get around the stage either.
Fair enough.
Now, the question is, do you dislike low ports more or prone?
You know what? In 13, 14 years of doing this, I've gone prone like twice. Mm-hmm. Low ports. You know what? I shot prone a few weeks ago, and it wasn't that bad. I think I would rather go prone than squat and look under a low port.
I mean, but then you look at like T and Jen, they're just like, I'm standing down here. What are you talking about, old man?
Okay, so I was in a match with Gabby Franco and Athena. Mm-hmm. And they had a high port. And literally. I'm on my knees. I am almost the exact same height as Gabby. Mm-hmm. If you've never met Gabby Franco, she's a little bit shorter than some people. Mm-hmm. They had to actually call the RO and be like, "Hey, can you bring us like a crate or something for us to stand on so we can see through this port?" That was funny.
Well, yeah, and it's as long as they know and that's within their rights and the rules to request it too. So they are short. Short people, tall people problems. I think Do you think it's more an advantage for you being super tall, or is it more of a hindrance?
Here's what I tell people, because this comes up a lot,
Mm-hmm.
especially Irasema. Are you out there, Irasema? She's a little bit shorter than me. We talk shit back and forth all the time about tall and short.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but usually it's Irasema's voice in the back about, well, it's an advantage to be tall. And I'll turn around and be like, there is no advantage whatsoever to being tall. Then I'll look at somebody else and be like, no, they're absolutely with the stride, vary your height. I think there's a bit of an advantage to being tall.
Mm-hmm. Now, unless they have ports that are like, now this is where I like when clubs do this, where they just do the big tall port in the wall. So there's no real disadvantage for tall or short, right?
Yep.
Unless you've got like a low boy targeted in front of it, but that's beside. But when they do the like the foot by a foot port, that's a problem for everybody because you can't see up into it, or you got to squat down into it to shoot through it, and
Yep.
it's like no one's winning on that one. So I'll let you drink your water, and then I'll preface my question because I see you're going for your water. But are you still shooting with the Safariland, 014?
Yeah.
I mean, do you feel you have that you have a piece of history on your hip because those things don't even get made anymore?
So many people talk shit about that holster, but it was thrown in when I bought the gun. I started using it. I also had like a brand new double Alpha X.
Mm-hmm.
I need to work on it. Like the gun doesn't come out very smoothly, and I'm just lazy. And I've seen more guns fall out of race holsters. I'm sure everybody has. Not talking shit about double Alpha at all. But there's something about that Safariland little barrel plug that just makes me feel better when it
Mm-hmm.
locks in there, and it's just grown on me.
Right.
I would love to sand it down and get it reshaped nicely and have it DLC'd. Wouldn't that be the shit?
That would be pretty cool. I mean, I think you know some people in your local area who could probably do that for you. See, there you go.
Who? Like Vulcan?
Yeah, I mean,
Vulcan
like
Machine
that hat.
Works?
Yeah, behind you, that hat. I see that logo back there. Other side.
Oh yeah, I forgot that one.
Yeah. No, that would be pretty cool though. But and that's the thing. Every holster is personal preference only. Like when people say, "Oh, this holster is better than this holster," I'm like, your miles may vary. I can't. Some people love. People have found love for the CR Speed Ultra holster again. Like, and that thing looked like a turd.
I want, in everything I do in shooting, I want functionality over
Mm-hmm.
performance. I truly believe that no matter what gun you're shooting, no matter what equipment you have, you can learn anything as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really not going to make that big of a difference. When I learned to DJ, on these horrible turntables. You'd let go of the record and it would go, no. So I had to learn to push the record at the right speed. And so I started playing at clubs, and I had real nice, $1,000 turntables. I would go push it, it would mess everything up. I had to learn just to let it go. So like I said, I come from Glocks, and you had to learn to prep the spongy, nasty trigger that didn't have a definite wall per se to a gun that has a 1.5-pound trigger with very little take up. And does it make me shoot faster? Does it make me shoot better? No. Like you can prep any trigger, you can learn anything. So
Right.
just take whatever you got, go shoot.
Right. Now, do you ever run into an issue of your holster actually digging into your leg when you're kind of trying to run because of the muzzle support?
I haven't noticed it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at the same time, I don't know if it's specific to this holster. Probably not. But every pair of pants or shorts I have that I wear shooting has a huge black streak on my right side where my muzzle rubs.
Mm-hmm. It's probably just normal. I mean, nothing wrong with it, though. It'll be good. But as you meant, you came from a Glock, the mushy trigger, right? When you started first, when you got into shooting the 2011, how big was the learning curve for you?
I mean, to shoot it, that day, it's easy. To shoot it well, it took me 6 months or so before it was like, okay, this is starting to come together. I know what the gun's capable of. It's ready a lot sooner than I am. So learn to work with that. Start having faith that what you're doing is working, and start pulling the trigger and going. It's hard coming from production to where I'm looking, for a decent sight picture on these far targets every single time. To an open gun, which is just like, man, honestly, if I hold this gun just right, I can pull that trigger as fast as I want to, even at 20 yards. And and generally hit pretty decent shots, which for me with any other gun doesn't always work out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was very fortunate when I switched from, just like you, I switched from a Glock to open with a 2011. The only hard part was like that first match. I went to a steel challenge match, just having the dot there and not having the safety all the way down. Fighting the safety was, I think, one of the harder things to do with switching from a Glock, because you're like, this is my safety.
That honestly, I think the safety, having a manual safety, this is the first gun I've actually used a manual safety on. Just in the last few years, coming from a Glock, and then I shot the Shadow, but I shot double action first pull. So it was weird having to take off a safety. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, but I wouldn't go any back. I'm trying to figure out how to get a backup gun, but I mean, just I have that weird inclination that I want one or need one.
Hey, do you still have that Glock?
Yeah, but that's not fancy enough. That won't shoot major. It'll blow up.
No. Oh, you should totally build an open Glock, dude. They're the best.
I bet somebody would actually hear that and actually take that as sound advice to do that. Don't do that, people. Casey Eusebio couldn't even get it to run. And he's really good. But he shoots a Taurus Slim Cat 2011 open gun. It's weird.
Look at the Glock team shooters. Morgan shot open.
Open minor.
Glock, sort of.
Unless they,
I mean, it was minor. It was definitely minor.
Now it'd be really cool if they actually chambered if they could find a way to chamber it in 38 Super Comp. That would be interesting.
Okay.
I mean, she's working with Ely, so Ely, Glock, start talking, please.
There's no market.
No, there would be. But you maybe a 40. Could they put it in a 40 though? Now I'm curious. Could they do it?
do a 40 major open Glock?
No, I would just find a way to use the the Glock 40 build so you get that thicker barrel, but be chambered in 38 Super Comp.
Okay.
I mean, then it's just a top end or a barrel swap or something like that, right? So it's not completely horrible. But I was talking about the 17L the other day at work. And it was he's like, that's my favorite Glock. I'm like, yeah, but you can't go buy that in a new Gen 5. That's still like a Gen 3 gun. And they still really don't make them.
Nobody wants them anymore.
No, I think the weird collectors do, though.
Yeah.
I mean, just like the 20, what is it, the 24? Really long 40 cal? No one has any of that. Well, Shane Coley does, but that's beside the point. But so Ryan, I guess what are your current goals in shooting right now? I mean, you've been doing the sport for a while. You're helping people out, but what are your goals?
Okay, so when I first got into this, I didn't really give a shit about being really good at it. I just enjoyed doing it. Mm-hmm. And I've seen people get way better than me much quicker. It took me, like I said at the start, I'm the person that has to learn the hard way, right? So. Mm-hmm. It was years before I took any classes and just kind of realized I didn't know anything about shooting. I thought I was badass. I was not. But that's when it started to take off, when I started, get with people who actually knew what they were doing. As far as goals, I'm getting fairly decent at it, so that's cool. JJ believes in me. He thinks I'm top 20 material. And this is leading up to a story, and this is a great story. And we're going to get off shooting for a moment and on old man stuff. But here in the last year and a half or so, I've seen my shooting just start dropping, and I'm tired all the time. I'm 44 now. I know I look way older with all this gray hair, but I am still fairly young. I've got some life left in me. So I've been watching my shooting go downhill, and my personal life problems, and I'm like, what's going on with me? And my mom started talking to me about her CPAP machine. And for our younger viewers, a CPAP machine is that mask you wear that helps you sleep at night.
Don't mention that to my wife, because I need. She's like, you need one. And I'm like, I don't want to go do a sleep study to go get hooked up to get one, but I know I need one.
Bro, it's fucking life changing.
Yeah.
Okay,
I want to sleep.
It's. First, I know the mask and the contraption is like, I don't want that, because I didn't want that either. But I was like, at this point, I watched myself at Area 4 this year. I got to shoot with Jesse and KC and some other great people, and I was just falling on my face, making mistakes. And over the past, year or so, I've been watching myself in my mind during a stage, and I know I'm making mistakes. I know I'm not being aggressive, but mentally I don't care enough to fix it. I just want to get through the stage. And I'm like, man, this isn't you. Like, what's going on with you? Like, there's literally something wrong with you. We got to figure it out. My mom started talking about the CPAP. So I was like, man, I've got nationals coming up. I was talking to Ken, he and T and Jen. We were all going to go together up there. We got to shoot with the Atlas guys. I call them the Atlas bros. We'll talk about that later. And, so about 3 weeks before nationals this year, I went to get a sleep study done. I'm talking to the doctor. I'm like, man, I got this big event coming up. Can we rush this? And he's like, talk to the ladies up front. And this is like in August. And I talked to ladies up front, and they're like, our next appointment is in November. And I'm like, oh. I'm like, bro, I got to do something the next few weeks. So I immediately left there, went to the CPAP store. I was like, sell me a machine, dude. He's like, show me your prescription. I said, I don't have one. He's like, I can't sell you one. So I find out it's illegal to buy one from a person. So I drove down to a real bad part of town in Dallas and bought this $800 machine for $50. Bought a brand new mask, went home, had no idea what to do with it. Just put it on and turn this thing on, and it is just forcing air into me, like to the point I'm having to strap this mask down super tight to my face, or like it's coming out of the mask, it's blasting me in the eyes, it's keeping me awake, like it's so uncomfortable. After the first night, even through all that stuff it put me through, like I still felt better. I still felt better than I ever had waking up. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna stick with it. So for the next several weeks, I just stuck with it. Hate it. There's nights I ripped it off my face. All right, we're going to get a little gross. Because it's forcing air into you, you're swallowing a lot of air. And I would wake up and just fart. Like so much. So we're getting to the good part of the story. So I'm talking to an older guy I shoot with, and he has one. And he's like, well, did you adjust the settings? And I said, man, I read the whole instruction manual. There's no settings. And he says, no. If you hold the buttons down, it brings up the doctor's menu that he's supposed to set. So I get in there and realize when this previous owner had given it to me, he did a hard reset that resets the machine to the highest possible level.
Oh,
that is
no.
like double what the average human needs. So this is 3 days before nationals. I go home, I adjust this machine. A dream. It doesn't feel like it's forcing air. It feels totally natural, like it's not waking me up. And I was like, oh my God, this is it. And at nationals, like I felt like a different person. Like I could actually think. I'm like this now. I'm excited. I'm animated. Whereas before I was just dead and just didn't care. So seriously, Alex, go look into the CPAP. It's big. It's big. That's my old guy story.
And nothing wrong with old guy stories because we learn a thing or two, right? No, and I've got enough buddies on them, and it's like I think the weirdness is over with it, but I just got to pull the plug on getting it done. My wife will thank me. I think I'll thank myself, and then I can just blame her when she snores. It's like maybe you should go get one now.
My wife loves it because I do not snore anymore. She does not hear it.
Yeah. And then it's a white noise thing. If they need a white noise kind of machine, they can just listen to the CPAP run.
There you go.
But that's fair enough. Now, how many open nationals have you gone to then? Just one? So that was your first nationals then?
That was my second nationals. My first nationals was in 2015. I went to production nationals. And then over the years, I really wanted to go every year. I've been up and down from making lots of money to practically nothing. And in the last 4 years, I watched my wife. My wife's an ER nurse. She got her license. She's a travel nurse. She makes good money. She bought me the gun. Thank you, Lindsay Wilks. Thank you for my open gun.
I like that.
And then she paid to have it fixed. So I always looked at it as, man, for the cost, I can have fun at 10 local matches, or more for what nationals cost. But as my finances get back in line here, I'd like to go to more because that's awesome. I love 3 days of shooting.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's all you got to worry about, right? It's not, what do I got to go do after this match? It's go shoot, go back to the hotel or Airbnb, and then go do it all again tomorrow. Now, since this is your second nationals you went to, did you shoot PM AM PM or AM PM AM?
I did AM PM AM because I've never been to Talladega and I didn't know to do that. But I learned real quick, do the PMs more. It's actually, what's it like? It's like hot and muggy in the morning, and then it gets clear. It gets nice in the afternoon, which is ass backwards if you're from Texas. As a Texan, you get anything you want to do outside in the summertime done in the morning, and you get inside quick.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You got to do it. Now, on normal match days, do you go to Buc-ee's?
No, I'm not Coy. Coy loves Buc-ee's.
Coy does love
Buc-ee's.
What was it? And there's the what is that? It's not a gas station. It's like a grocery store. It's like a new cult grocery store. Who was telling me about this? It's a Texas
like
thing.
a Buc-ee's?
It's kind of, I don't know. I don't know. It's some cult grocery store. Not cult. God, what is it? But it's in Texas.
It is an actual grocery store, not a gas station.
Yeah.
I don't know.
This is gonna bother me now. I'm gonna have to figure it out. I'm gonna have to figure it out. I think this problem is I think Cameron told me about it, so now I'm gonna have to figure it out. Darn it. But anyway, so as you went to nationals, and you shot AM PM AM. Did you leave right after you're done shooting, or did you wait for the award ceremony?
Trying to remember, dude. No, I think we did go to awards. God, I told you I'm old, dude.
Well, that's why you have a handler, right? You got young handlers.
Yeah.
They just cart you around with your. That's what you really need to do is bring. Everyone's got these awesome S3 range carts or Zuka carts. You just need to have a walker.
Dude, I want to put the turntables on a golf cart. Hey, I got yelled at by Troy at nationals.
Oh, for what? What'd you do now?
Me and Jen were on the back of a golf cart, and apparently we overloaded it. He made us get off and walk next to the golf cart. And I'm like, dude, that's why we got a golf cart.
How much are golf carts down there anyway?
Oh, mine was free. I think it was like $30. I don't know. Marco paid for it, and then he left. And so he's like, hey, take this.
Can't beat that then. Free golf cart.
Maybe it was Sean Guo. Hey, whoever gave me a golf cart, I appreciate it.
Right? Nothing wrong with that. But so we talked a little about you do the training, you do the practice sessions, you help. Do you actually train yourself? No, do you actually go and train like live fire practice at all?
I never practice.
Other than matches.
I use my matches as I'm always shooting matches. I'm always training somebody, so that takes up pretty much all my time. I'm doing physical work during the day, so I'm just tired by the day. I don't want to go out and practice. I don't even dry fire at home. Like I might actually be pretty good at this if I practiced.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, and then there's the thing, some people talk about raw talent, right? And eventually you muscle memory it through it to be able to do it. But so that's kind of cool. I mean, you're on the edge of grandmaster, aren't you? You're a master.
I'm a master in production, carry optics, and open. I've come real close to grandmaster, but everybody thinks I'm a grandmaster, and I'm like, no, I'm just a master. But honestly, I don't even care anymore. My goal is not to beat the masters. My goal is to beat everybody there.
Yeah, that's everybody's goal, right? As soon as you get to that level, that's your goal. Just beat everybody.
I hate with a passion how every new shooter wants to be a B-class shooter. And I'm like, why?
Because they'll never get out of it. That's the hard part. Like you can't get in it, you can't get out.
Because it's the middle of the road. They're respectably skilled, but they're not really expected to do anything amazing.
Yeah,
that's my take on it.
No, I kind of agree with you. I'm whatever my classification is, I really don't care. Long as I'm beating people that I should be beating on a regular basis is the best part. Now you can trade it up with, you can, or whoever's shooting with you, that's the best thing about, I think, in the Dallas area is there's heat everywhere there.
Yup.
There's no gimmies.
Yes, sir. Not unless, actually, when everybody goes to like IPSC Nationals and I wasn't there.
Well, yeah, you and Dave Blanton were the only, but Dave was shooting limited optics or something. So, I mean,
he was.
Now, do you have any ambition to shoot limited optics, or is it like, no, it's not cool enough?
I still got my CZ. I know Ken, I don't know if I'm telling secrets, Ken, but Ken just got a limited optics gun put together, and he wants me to shoot really bad with him in limited optics. I'm like, man, I'm really enjoying this open gig. But me personally, I'm not going to go buy a different gun. I shot that CD for like 8 years, like the same minor round coming out of the end of this one as it is expensive 2011. So
True.
yeah.
Now, speaking of, bullets and stuff, what powder are you using in open?
So I have stuck with when I bought this gun, this guy told me his load, and that's all I've ever made.
Okay.
So I'm using 7.7 a silhouette on a 124. Right now it's a Precision Delta V2.
Okay. It's not a bad load then, because I think silhouette is one of the few powders that doesn't need to be compressed to actually work. So, and
I mean, it's cool.
Is it close?
There's probably like that much space. I don't know if you can see how small. Yeah, like I kind of measured it, and I'm like, man, that bullet is almost against the powder, but it's I don't believe it's compressing it from my measurements.
Right. No, yeah, like I use 3 and 38 in a 9 major, and yeah, it's a full case. It's funny enough is I went to go load some minor ammo for the wife so she could start shooting, and I'm like, are we sure there's enough powder in this case? I don't think this is right. It just looks so wrong. Like there's like nothing in the bottom. I'm just like, well, this doesn't look right.
But it doesn't spill.
It does not spill.
Yeah.
Now, if someone could find a way to absolutely guarantee powder would never spill out of a 9 major case. Oh wait, it is. It's called 38 Super Comp.
There you go.
Right. I mean, that's the best part. You pretty much put the same load in it. I mean, 38 Super Comp people tell me I'm wrong, but essentially you put the same load in as a 9 major and you just have more case volume, and then you're fine. But
everybody told me you're gonna hate 9 major. You're gonna have problems, and I've had problems. But I watch these people chicken packing around for shit on the ground, and I'm like, I don't want to be that person.
Yeah. The only time I chicken peck on the ground is the fact if I have to rack out a round for something, I want to see what's wrong with that thing. But I also started marking my brass for that purpose only. Not the fact that I shoot, like, not that I'll stay away from my shot brass. I'll totally pick up my own shot brass and at the end of the day and reuse it, because that's why I shoot 9 major. Duh.
Hey, when 38 Super people start talking shit to me at locals, I'm like, you better stop, or I'm gonna start marking my 9 major brass just like yours. I swear to you.
This is true. And then they'll be like, you know what's funny is when they go to pick up a piece of 38 Super Comp and it's only 40 cal. It's like, you've been over for nothing.
Nothing.
Although I will be that guy. I do throw 40 cal brass into the burn because it is useless.
I've got a cat down here that's loving this tripod. Cat.
Hey, everyone likes cats. I like cats, except you know what the worst part is? I'm allergic to cats.
I might be too. Oh.
I mean, see, you know what the worst part is? The cat would lay on my chest to try to suffocate me, because then I would just get all red and like the throat starts to close up. It's horrible. Cats hate me.
We're going to talk about cats now. I'll start.
Mm-hmm.
My cats have AIDS.
They have AIDS?
I'm not even fucking with you.
Yeah.
So there's HIV and there's FIV.
Mm-hmm.
My wife, when she decided she was going to move in with me, she had, of course, we had this stray cat. She's like, you got to give it a home. So I had a cat. She had a cat. She takes her cat to the vet and comes home crying. My cat has FIV. You know, she believes this cat's going to die. Now, I'll give you the light version of the story. It doesn't really make a difference in their lives. Like, you don't notice it, and you can't get it. We can't pass anybody. So my wife's in tears. We're about to move in to get together years ago. And she says, I need you to get your cat tested for anything she might have, because if she gets my cat sick, bad things can happen. So I took my cat, Orange Kitty. That's her name. I took her to the vet, and I came to pick her up, and they said, we have some bad news. And I was like, what's that? What's that? Like, your cat has FIV. And I was like, that's great. Like, I literally just like, that's great. They're like, what? And I was like, you don't understand. This solves so many problems. Like, I can move in with my wife now. I swear to you.
Hey, it's a scratching post, right? It's like they just want to rub on it. Just makes it awkward for us, but not for anybody else. The cat's like, screw you. I'm a cat. I do what I want.
Yep.
So when you told her that your cat had FIV, how did that go?
It was like, well, she kind of felt the same way I did. Like, that sucks for the cat, but great. Like, that, it solves problems. Let's move in together. Now we're not worried about our cats. infecting each other.
Hey, there you go. Nothing wrong with that. So I did get some decent. I got some listener questions.
Okay.
So someone wants to know, what is your greatest accomplishment?
Oh, goodness. Um, Man, as far as just shooting in general, I don't know. This is my wall of Gaylord behind me. There's a lot of B and C and A class trophies back here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go off on a tangent real quick. You know what? I got so many more trophies as a C class shooter than I ever have as a master. Because there's people. If you're new to shooting, let me tell you something real quick. Don't be in a rush to get to the top of the pack because there's not as many people up there. And if there's not 5 masters there, guess what? You could shoot 99% of the first place guy and you get nothing.
Yep.
And I should have just as many second place master trophies up there as I do all this other stuff. But to answer your question, accomplishments. It's not really in shooting. It's in the teach. Damn it, Cat! I swear to you, you gotta go. You're out of here, dude. Sorry, I'm back. Um, Shooting's cool, and I love that. But I learned many years ago that I love teaching just as much. It's just as fulfilling as doing well in the actual shooting. Um, Malin, I think it's probably Malin. I've noticed when I teach people, anybody that's played sports before is just much more receptive to learning to. That cat's back, dude. And I watched Malin. Malin came to me. And he met weekly with me for months, maybe even the first year and a half. Like we were together. It didn't matter. We were going to drill something. We were going to train. We were going to learn something new. And I watched this guy go from never really have done any sort of USPSA to within a year and a half on the USPSA top 20 classification. He was like the top rated A class shooter in the country. So that's what I'm proud of. I think I'm a lot more proud of watching other people's accomplishments and being able to say, hey, I was at least part of that. I'm not taking credit for your stuff, but it's really cool that I could be a part of your journey and help you along the way. T no.
Mm-hmm.
T and Jen were both 2 girls that came to me when they wanted to get into competitive shooting, and each of them they took a together session with me, and then they each took a private session where I kind of helped them get into this. And then of course T got with Ken, and he's pretty good.
So are you a matchmaker now?
I don't take credit for that.
That's funny though. No, but yeah, that is probably true for most people who teach or do any form of instruction, right? Seeing that student, take the principles you teach them and you watch them get molded into something more than what they were, and then you just see their light on their face, be like, I did that, and you did that, you helped me, and then it's always the high fives all around.
Yeah.
Now, and that's probably a good thing too, is like when you see a student, they beat you on something, they crush it and they beat you on a stage or what it may be, right? That's when you're truly like the happiest, right?
Absolutely. And Malin has definitely beat me on some stages in carry optics.
Yeah. Wait, he beat you with a minor gun?
Well, I was shooting carry optics also at the time.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's fair enough. Like,
I'm sure he's beaten me here or there on open too.
Yeah.
He's good.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I haven't seen him shoot in a while because I'm not from there, and I haven't seen him on the internet. So, Malin, if you're listening, please come back.
Shoot with us.
Yes. So there was another person who wants to know. So really, how'd you get the nickname Silver Fox Shooting, other than the fact that your last account got stolen?
Okay, it actually has something directly to do with that. So that account got stolen, and then I made a new one. And what I think I named myself Ryan 9 Major. I'm not good with names. Like I'll just pick something random and be like, that's what it is. And of course, Jen and T both messaged me, and they're like, we don't like your name. And I was like, okay, well then what should it be? And don't hate me if I'm saying this wrong. I think it was Jen's idea. It might have been both of them, but they were like, hey, you should be Silver Fox. And I was like, oh, I like that. So I just ran with it. And now I got my little custom Oakleys with Silver Fox engraved on them.
Oh, that's pretty cool then. Not going to lie.
Yeah.
Now,
so thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, ladies. I mean,
go ahead. Yeah.
No, you're fine. Well, then Jen did want to know, who are your cool besties? Which I'm assuming is Jen, T, Ken, them kind of people.
Absolutely. Here's the deal. Like, I don't even leave if I have hung out with you in the last several years outside of my house or outside of shooting, feel very, very special, because I can probably count on one hand the number of times I will leave my house to go hang out with somebody outside of shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I go to work, I hang out with my wife, I shoot. That's it. And that takes up a lot of my time. I really do feel um, like the whole shooting community. Like, I try to make friends with everybody, and I've got so many friends, too many to name here and give them all the credit for being there for me. But of course, everybody's got like their core group, and definitely it's going to be the Jen, T, Ken, Coy, Calvin, Cameron, Emmett, Alex, all the people you mentioned earlier. I mean, that's generally who you're going to see me at majors with.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you go to a major, do you typically go by yourself, or will you carpool with somebody?
Depends. If it's close enough, I'll just, a couple hours, I'll just drive. If it's any further than a couple hours, like, we're carpooling, we're flying together, we're renting cars together, we're Airbnb-ing together, so we can all hang out as friends.
Right. So this year, how many majors did you end up shooting? You might want to doctor that so your wife doesn't kill you. But
I want to do more. I always want to do more. It's just a time constraint at this point. I want to say less than 10. Probably 4 or 5. In general, it's like 4 or 5 a year. I think a little less this year. But I've also been going to school for the last 4 years. I just graduated, so. But now that opens up things where I can get out more.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So, and then I'm assuming you're at least planning to do that many in 2024.
Oh yeah, every year I'm like, oh, I'm gonna shoot so many more majors this year, and then I'm like, oh, and then of course now T's with Glock, and she's gone every other weekend to a major, and I'm just jealous. I'm not even jealous of the sponsorship. I'm just jealous of the majors she's shooting.
Right. And the fact that probably they cover most, if not all, of her expenses to get there too.
It's possible.
I mean, I mean, screw the cost of the match entry fee. Pay for my hotel and my transportation to get there. That costs more. Or the food. Just cover my food too.
Yeah, I'm proud of her. I'm very happy for her. I don't want that to sound negative.
No, absolutely. I mean, she's a very good shooter. She's very good at what she does with the media stuff. So I'm very happy for T getting on Team Glock. I mean, her, Morgan, they both deserve it. I can't remember who else they added, but it doesn't really matter because I don't know them. But no, that's good. I had a couple more questions. Okay. Oh, I guess Ken wants to know, what's your life like as a re-owned supermodel and actor?
Oh God. I've always said I'm in it for the fame. Like, one of my sponsors, Angel Fire, put me in their promo video. Then they use my picture in the ads, and they're like, "Do you want some free ammo?" I was like, "I don't even care. Just put me in the ad. I just want to see my face out there. Like, that's the best." All right, I'm gonna tell another story here. We're gonna get you a good. Oh, we're over an hour. Okay, good. Yeah. So, did you ever watch Sons of Guns? You ever heard of that show?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So, do you remember the episode of the guy that had the Uzi who did competitions?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a buddy of mine from years ago. This is so bad. I hadn't seen him in years. I watched the episode. I didn't even realize that was him. So anyway, so now you know who I'm talking about, Chris Hype. So he's fairly well connected nationally with different companies. And Smith & Wesson contacted him 2 or 3 years ago and was like, "Hey, we're doing some stuff in Texas. We need to find some people. Do you know anybody?" He's like, "Man, I'll tell you what. Let me put you in touch with this guy, Ryan Wilks. Like, he knows everybody in North Texas." So one of the contacts from Smith & Wesson called me and said, "Hey, we need your help casting this commercial." So if you can go Google this right now, audience, go Google the Smith & Wesson CSX commercial. Everybody in that commercial is a local shooter from the DFW area that I helped, get that part. I played a small part in the back. I love mine. They told us when we were filming, they said, nothing you say is going to be in this commercial. It'll all be voiced over, right? So say whatever it is that gets a reaction out of the other person. So I'm going to be honest with you. If you're a guy, you know what guys talk about. Mm-hmm. We're guys. We made nothing but dick jokes for like 4 hours. You're going to watch the end of the CSX commercial where I got my proud smile going. But anytime you see our mouths moving, just know we're talking about Dicks.
But hey, it gets reactions out of people to make a commercial, right?
It did, and they're like, "You're so expressive," and I was like, "That's because Chris was funny. He pulled it out of me." I'm gonna tell one more story about. So a year later, Smith and Wesson called me back again, and said, "Hey, we have this commercial we want to do for the Equalizer that's about to come out, and the whole plot is it's going to be a father and a daughter bonding at the range. We've cast this girl, but we have not been able to get a hold of her in 3 weeks. Can you find us another girl?" I was like, this is on a Friday. I was like, dude, for this, like, I'll have you somebody tonight, no problem. And I did. And they were like, my contact said, "Hey, I know they're looking for guys. They're like 50 or 60 to play the dad, but I think they'll really like you. I want to put you in here." And he had all my info. So I was like, go for it, dude. Like, I went home to my wife. This just tells you a lot about my mindset. I still feel like I'm 18 in like a 44-year-old body, mentally. And I told my wife, I was like, I can't play this part. Nobody's going to believe I have a 20-year-old daughter. And she was like, "Ryan, yes, they are. You're in your 40s." And I was like, oh, shit. Like, at that moment, it hit me like, you really are getting up there, brother. So the next day, they call me back, and they're like, "We love you. We want you to play the dad." And I was like, oh, okay. So I actually got to play, a decent part. Fast forward to the night before the commercial is supposed to shoot. The girl I cast calls me up crying, saying her mother-in-law is basically on her deathbed in California. We're getting on a plane right now. I can't do the commercial. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Everything, definitely to go take care of family. Hung up, immediately called the producer. I was like, bro, what are we doing? He's like, just come to Austin tomorrow. We'll figure it out. So I get down there, and the director was the same guy I'd worked on the first one, but had a different production crew, and he just kind of had freedom to do whatever he wanted. And he's like, "Man, I'm going to bring out some walls. I'm going to bring out some targets. Can you build us a stage?" And I was like, "Sure." So we built this stage, and I just want to let you know, like this, if you go watch the Smith and Wesson Equalizer commercial, it is completely designed and shot on the fly. Like, we didn't have any sort of real idea or script to go by. We were just going to figure out as we go. So I'm kind of walking through the stage, planning what I'm doing, like we all do in our walkthroughs. And the director's like, "Is that the speed you're going to do the commercial in?" And I was like, "No, dude. Like, I'm going to go way faster." He's like, "No, actually, we want you to do it slower. The cameraman's going to have trouble keeping up with you." And I'm thinking in my mind, man, I can't look like a slow dude out here. Like, I'm going to go fast. So the first several takes, I am flying through these targets, leaving on the last target, running through here. And he's like, "Ryan, that's great. 10% slower." So I do it again. He'd be like, "Ryan, love it. 10% slower." I got down to the point, I am walking through the stage, and I'm like, man, this is going to look ridiculous. And honestly, this guy was good. He cut it in such a way between fast and slow motion that I don't think you really noticed that I am just walking through the stage instead of actually trying to be aggressive and run it quickly. But it came out really cool. I shot it along with another girl, and I felt so bad for her because we both put in equal work between the commercial and the photo shoot. And when the commercial came out, it was 100% me shooting. So felt bad for her, but at the same time, I was like, dude, this is really cool. Like, I love this.
Right.
So go watch.
I will. I've actually got it pulled up, so when we're done here, I'll actually watch this. But so and I'm curious, is like they got a hold of you in the initial part, right? But who even told them to get a hold? Like, that's the trick part is like, it's cool. Like, you did stuff with Smith and Wesson 3 times now? Because didn't you help with the competitor, or not the competitor? Was it the metal? No, or was that just T?
No, T. So that first commercial, I submitted a whole bunch of people that I thought would do well, not only in the shooting proficiency, but were just good quality people who could work well with others. And I felt really bad for T for not getting a part. And then months later, this commercial comes out, and I was like, "T, why didn't you tell me?" She's like, "Well, I signed an NDA." I was like, "Dude, I'm so happy for you. I thought you got left out." So
well, yeah. The cool part is, her social media background for work is like top notch, and it's like, I was like, I wish I had your imagination or free time to sit and play with ideas in your brain and just make it happen.
I love T's videos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she blows it out of the park, and I'm jealous.
She makes it look good.
She makes it look easy. That's the
Yeah,
problem, and it's
yeah.
not. But yeah, so Lord. But yeah, no, that's really cool. To be honest with you, I'm not gonna lie on that one. So let me pull up my list here because I had to look for that commercial. But I do have a couple more questions for you, and then we're gonna wrap this one up. But
Go for it.
what is something that current Ryan would like to tell past Ryan about shooting?
Go get training as soon as you can. Stop fucking around thinking you know everything.
Mm-hmm.
Go get it from somebody like me.
Right, there you go. You
Yeah.
always need it.
There's nothing you're going to come across that hasn't already been figured out. Go pay somebody whatever they want to train you because you're going to spend a million times more trying to figure it out on your own. Building bad habits. Go get on the right track right now. In fact, when I first started training people, I would say, well, that's too advanced for you. Let's just focus on this basic stuff. And then as I got deeper and deeper and had more experience helping people and teaching people, I realized I looked back at myself too. I was like, man, I wish I had just started doing the high level stuff right away. Like, yeah, I don't care how hard it is. Let's start learning the absolute correct way to do this. That's going to yield me the best result. So if they're not a brand new shooter who has never picked up a gun, we're going to jump right into shooting while moving, leaving on aggressive targets, entering on stuff. We're gonna train like Eric Grafel trains, where he shoots something way harder than you're ever going to see in a match, and then goes in the match and just breezes through it.
Mm-hmm.
I like that approach.
Right, and there's nothing wrong with that, honestly, because take the scariness out of it, right? A lot of people probably at the first match are afraid of swingers because they've never seen a swinger before. But if you're able to take that into practice and practice swingers prior to the match, they look super easy.
It's not a big of a deal. No,
Yeah, it's just a swingy target. But so this is a really good question. I like this question. Is what is your make ready?
Okay. So I probably should spend more time, but I'm not a GM like Ken Yang. I do. When I'm doing my walkthrough, I pretty much have the pictures in my mind that I'm looking for. What I've had to kind of do is figure out. I know where I'm going to fail. I know I can feel when my mind starts to race, or it's not where it should be. And so I give myself something to focus on. And a lot of times it's just the first shot. I just keep telling myself, especially like big major match, it's the first stage of the day. I'm notorious for like just pushing it way too hard. I've got to be fast, right? Stop trying to be fast. Just do your process, right? So what I tell myself, what works for me is I'll look at the first target. I'll look at the spot I want that first bullet to go. And I'll be like, Ryan, when the buzzer goes off, all you have to do is draw that gun and put a bullet right there. I can do that. That sounds simple. Like, I don't need you to do it fast. I don't need you to do it slow. Just put a bullet right there on that target. And when I do that, it works for me mentally. It lets me sink in and just calm down and just get that first shot out of the way. As soon as that happens, like, I've kind of set the tone for the correct sight picture, doing your process correctly, looking for the whatever the sight picture that you're looking for needs to be on that target. And it gets me to where I'm not rushing. I'm not pushing it. I'm not overstepping what I'm capable of, and just doing my process, because ultimately that's where you're gonna be the best, when you're just shooting at your true and practice pace.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh, and I like that. It, calms you. I like that when just calms you down and you just shoot your abilities, right? That's definitely the way that most people need to think about it, instead of trying to put all this worry and doubt and fear into themselves right before they go shoot.
Agreed.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about this through a little bit of a conversation, but do you have any sponsors, I'm assuming?
I have a couple.
Mm-hmm.
Look at how this shirt makes me look.
I mean,
Everyone should go out and buy a Saker Speedworks shirt.
They do feel pretty nice.
No, Saker, definitely. The group there. That's all my close friends. In fact, every single sponsor I have is either a personal friend of mine, or a company I absolutely truly believe in. I don't really. I have everything I need. Like, unless somebody just wants to give me free guns, like, I don't know. I don't really need anything. So if I'm going to promote you, I want it to be true. So it's going to be Saker Speed Works, definitely. Vulcan Machine Works. I found this out. I don't even remember saying this, but Jeremy, the owner of Vulcan, is like, all this is because of you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, you're the person who sat in my garage and told me, dude, you should quit your job and go do this. And I was like, shit, dude, I'm glad it worked out for you.
Right? Because then he can't blame you if it didn't work.
Yeah. I don't remember saying that, but whatever. Vulcan Machine Works, love what they do. Love the perfectionist that Jeremy is and everything he does. And have you seen their new gun, the 11?
Mm-hmm.
Their own 20. It is a cool gun. I love that gun. Angel Fire Ammo. I've met the brand manager, Aaron Lent. He stayed at my house while he was down here kind of touring Texas, but they're the only people that I'm not like personal friends with that I don't hang out with on a normal basis. It's funny. We're going to tell another story real quick. You've heard of Stand One Armory.
Yep.
A lot of people don't know this. I believe I was possibly the first like true sponsored shooter of Stand One Armory that you've never heard of. Right before they closed down the business, they were in the process of hiring me to be their salesman. And I met with the owner. And he's like, man, we're going to have you be our salesman. We've never gone out past internet sales. We're going to hit up everybody locally. When that's done, we're going to send you out to surrounding states. When that's done, we're going to fly you out wherever you want. We're going to pay your way. You're going to be everywhere. And I'm just like eating it up. Man, this is awesome. He's like, I got to go out of town for 3 weeks. I'll talk. We'll finish this up. We'll sign everything up when I get back. Well, he got back, a little less than a month later. We had the meeting, and he's like, man, unfortunately, with the way things are going, with some things happening outside the business, I've got to shut it down. And I was just heartbroken. I felt like the rug had been pulled out from underneath me. So that actually, I got a small taste of having an ammo sponsor, and I was like, oh, I like this. Like, I'm going to find me one. So I actually kind of worked toward the Angel Fire sponsorship. But I love that they picked me up. And in all reality, I'm not just saying this because they give me stuff. But I have literally been through tens of thousands of rounds of their 147s in minor without any issues at all. Like, it's absolutely great stuff. Let's see. Other sponsors. Sig Armor. Robert Berg. We met years ago, and I'm going to tell you the story how I got that one. So first off, I don't own a SIG. I've never owned a SIG. I have nothing against SIGs. I think they're great guns. I just don't have one. Robert came out with this new SA SIG Armor logo that fit together like little triangles, and he was wearing this cool shirt with the logos all of the tessellation pattern. I was like, bro, that's a cool shirt. I want one of those. He's like, you can't have one. I was like, why not? He's like, you're not on the team. I was like, bro, just put me on the team. It's like, I can't. You don't own a SIG. I was like, So that was kind of an ongoing joke for like a year or so where I just bugged him about putting me on the team. And then one day he decided to do a team, and he called me up. He's like, bro, you're my Area 4 rep now. I was like, sweet. So I am the only person on the SIG Armor team that does not shoot a SIG, doesn't even own one. But I love Robert. I love what he does. He specializes in SIGs. He's one of the best out there at it. Oh, God, I'm going to have to go get my damn jersey to look at the back of it. Who else? Sig Armor, Angel Fire.
Well, luckily we don't have too many left, and that honestly is Ryan. If people want to get a hold of you, if it's just to talk on the internet, training if they want it, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Text me. 972-505-9307.
That's good. And if anyone wants to actually watch those shooting videos, it's Silver Fox Shooting on Instagram, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. Everyone will plug him, and it's always funny because I always do remember. I guess I have to bust your balls. Like your stage from Area 4, where you kept walking past the fault line, and then you just at the end you're like, "Oh no!"
So actually, that stage is what pushed me to get a CPAP. I was like, "Bro, we can't do this again. Like something's wrong in your brain."
Well, at least it triggered that when it was.
Yeah.
That's got to be rough though too. It's just like, oh no, all the penalties with lots of advantage.
Well, after that, I was like, man, you're no longer in the running for any sort of trophy. Like, let's just go for stage wins. And that led to more crashing and burning.
Hey, if you're not going to crash and burn every once in a while, it's not that fun.
It's fun. I had a good time. No matter what, I always have a good time. Money well spent.
Absolutely, and that's what we do. We're there to have fun. That's half the part of why we're addicted to it, because it's fun. Well, Ryan, brother, dude, this has been a blast. I've had an absolute fun time hashing out stories and just getting to know you. I appreciate your time, brother. It's been fantastic.
No problem. I've had a great time.
Well, thank you. And to the listeners, get out and do the things. I will see you on the next episode.